presentation, I was I'm going to come here and I'm going to tell you about the path to success. That was going to be my idea. And when I started working on the path to success and putting together this great story that I was going to tell you, I realized there wasn't one. And I had to stop dead in my tracks and figure out, why is there no path to success? Why is there no road to success? I've seen this at chapters. I've probably seen it on 50 magazine covers. I've seen this over and over again. I've seen people present it to me. And now when I'm looking for it, and I'm about to share it with a crowd of people who are going to depend on me to be brilliant, amazing, entertaining, and smart enough to have deserved to work at all those great companies that I've been at, that I should know about this path to success. But what I figured out that's even more important is that if I look across the hundreds of products that I have launched, across where I am right now in my life, bringing a new social media platform to market at a scale and at a pace that I've never seen before in my life. We just crossed, we're about to cross 4 million users. So if I go back a year at Hootsuite, no revenue, 25 employees, and about 1 million users. It's now a year later. We have a $200 million valuation. We just raised $20 million. We have 170 employees, and we have nearly 4 million users. We're on a tear. And the way we got on that tear is through a series of checkpoints. And while there isn't a path, what I do believe is that these checkpoints that I've synthesized are ultimately changed forever. Changed forever by, first of all, our ability to focus on them in a way that we never have before. We have more information at our fingertips, more skilled employees, more brilliant partners, more media sticking a magnifying glass on everything we do every single day. We have more ability to focus than we've ever had, but on the other hand, it's harder to focus sometimes than it ever has been, because there is too much information, too much distraction, too much stuff going on. So we need to turn off the TV, shut our inboxes, we need to get focused on what it is that we're going to do and the next checkpoint that we're going to make it to. And the other thing we need to recognize is that as we move from whichever checkpoint we're at right now to the next one, is that everything could change all the time. Anything could happen. Our competitors could change, the market could change, a new service could be launched, I could lose my team to my competitors. The pricing that we currently have in the market could be upset by somebody else who undercuts us. The relevance of what we provide could be changed in an instant. And we need to be able to modify our plan to change the next checkpoint in between them sometimes. And as we get to each one of those checkpoints, we need to stop and to do a little retrospective on what happened, how did we get here, who got hurt, who loved it, what was awesome, what sucked, what should we change ourselves because of what we learned on the path to get here. And this iteration, the speed of this change and the speed of this iteration is moving at an ever-increasing pace. The number we now use to recognize success in technology is when you reach 100 million users. So I'm 4% of the way there. That's my current checkpoint. When you reach 100 million users. Took the telephone 90 years. Took the mobile phone 17 years. And just for show of hands, just so I can detect the age of the crowd, how many people here had one of these 3 phones? Sorry. See how fast it changes? Social media, to get to 100 million people, took 4 years. And then it changed. It changed from a broadcasting mechanism for certain people who would stand on a soapbox all day and shout about things they thought were relevant, or for other people, it was a very tight-knit, close circle of friends. It's changed from that into becoming a true communications medium. We communicate with each other at a higher velocity, at a greater scale, with greater intimacy sometimes, as long as we agree to sign a contract for that intimacy, I guess, with each other would be one way of putting that. But we have turned this into a form of communication that's unprecedented. I'm hoping, actually, that it's going to kill email forever, because I hate email. Whenever I open my inbox, I would say if you want something about focus, whenever I open my inbox, the first thing I notice is that what's in my inbox is everybody else's priority, not my focus. So I suggest, rather than starting with your inbox, start on Twitter. Start on Facebook or start in your calendar. Start with your group of friends and find out what's important to them. Start with what's important to you and the areas where you're going to be able to ultimately create meaningful connections out of the intimacy. Okay, every time I've reached a checkpoint, this is what it feels like. Somewhere between a rock and a hard place. It hardly ever feels really, really awesome. Because if you look hard at what's happened, you need to, first of all, probably deliver a few tough messages to some people. You need to figure out what went wrong. You need to confess what you did wrong. That's tough stuff. And you need to figure out what you need to change in your vision, your plan, your brilliant portrayal of what you thought the future was going to be. And you need to do it quickly and decisively in order to move effectively on to that next checkpoint. All right, here's my checkpoints. I'm an artist. That's how I started in all of this. I've since found out there's no cure for that, which is too bad in some degree. But in other hands, every single great work that I have ever done, I believe, started with a good sketch. And the first thing I did in those great works was I finished that sketch. I didn't just kind of rough it out or kind of fake it out or go something like this. Or maybe it's going to be like this, but I'm not sure in the end. At least when I took that first step, if I finished that sketch to the point where I could, first of all, understand what it was, where it was going to go, and more importantly, explain it to other people in order to get their meaningful feedback, then I had a starting point that ultimately would make sense. Because every time I've ever looked into a crystal ball, I've seen nothing. It's just blank glass. They're gorgeous, they're pretty. You need a what. I think all day we've had great discussions around how you can do this from your personal perspective, around how you can find the strength, around how you can build meaningful connections, around how you can dig deep inside of yourself. But I'm going to put that aside for a second and say you need to come up with a simple formula of what it is that you're going to do. You're going to do something better. You're going to make something more, distribute something further. You're going to develop something more sustainably. You're going to explore how to do it cheaper. Doesn't matter. Make it simple, make it clear, make it better, make it different, make it sustainable. But make it in such a way that it's achievable, that you believe in it, and that it actually sets you apart from the other people that are attempting to do something similar. You're going to have to swim in a slightly different direction. Unless you want to race to the bottom in a price war or simply mimic what somebody else is doing in a different region. Those are completely viable plans. But in most cases, what you want to do is find some distinctive excellence that you can bring to the table. And then almost immediately, I suggest get humans. In fact, if you can, get ninjas. Ninjas are better because they wear really cool outfits. They travel in packs, and even if you leave them all alone, they still usually win. Okay, now you've got ninjas, now you've got a sketch, now you need a brand. And there's really two polar opposites as far as I've seen brand. I spend a lot of my career thinking about people's brands, about what brands work and what brands don't. You ultimately want to have a brand that your fans are willing to tattoo on some intimate part of their body. If it sucks a little bit less than that, they'll tattoo it on their forearm. That's still acceptable. But you need to make a decision in terms of, is your brand exclusive, or does it have the illusion of being exclusive, or is your brand inclusive? Those are the polar opposites of brand that I think matter in a social world. Next, you need to do some hardcore design thinking. So I'd like you to meet Isambard. Sorry, I got to stop while I think. Make sure I got his name. Isambard Kingdom Brunel. This is, as far as I can tell, the first ever design thinker as an engineer, and he did something remarkable. He decided to pay attention to what people wanted, to whether or not they were comfortable on a train, or whether or not the chair they were going to sit in was going to hold them in a way so that they could sit there for an extended period of time. This has led now to an entire phenomena where everything that we do from a design perspective should embody some element of design thinking. We should be iterative, we should think about the interaction model, we should focus on the engagement, we should take lots of different ideas into the process. But most importantly, we should get with the people that are going to have to use our products on a day-to-day basis and ensure that they believe in what we're doing. This will help ensure that when we cross this checkpoint, that the story that we're going to tell is valid. Simple, methodology for this. This is Michael Dell's model. This is my simplification of why Dell succeeded. When I buy a computer for Dell, I take some coins or a credit card and I put it in Michael Dell's coin-operated model. And in one side of the building, there's a bunch of trucks. And in the trucks are all the computer parts. They never leave the truck until I put the coin in the machine. When I put the coin in the machine, somebody goes out, gets the parts off the truck, brings them in the factory, and puts them in the little blue boxes that drove away. Those are the FedExes, UPSs, etc. of the world. Michael Dell did something different, did something better, did something sustainable, and provided something that people ultimately wanted. In fact, recently, his knockoff of the MacBook Air is pretty much a win-win scenario in terms of figuring out where people are going to go. Next, you need to figure out that there's a premium on this. You're going to have to charge a price for it. So this is a formula for doing qualitative and quantitative multivariate testing in order to determine a pricing option that people will most frequently select. You can do that, or you can do what we did at Hootsuite. Apparently, this is a wicked price. In fact, 3.8 million people currently pay us this for our product. But it works. It works because you get people to use it. You get people to understand it. You get them to share the story. And then through that process, you find where they find value. And then you figure out how much that value is worth. Now, you still have to go back and do that multivariate formula that I showed you earlier. Hire somebody to do that. Get a ninja. That's a prime example of where you need a ninja. Next, you need to figure out where you're going to physically be located. So this is kind of the PPP portion, but I think this has changed forever because it turns out that currently one of the best places you can run a business is in a cloud. Okay. It's true. It's highly profitable. Everybody can get to it. Okay, there's only one way to do this next part. And I don't mean, just for the record, I don't mean, I got this recently, actually, was an interviewer on CTV said, isn't hustling like what people do in pool halls? I was like, nope. It's when you roll up your sleeves and dig in and get the job done. And I'm going to make, I think, what is the most profound statement I'm going to make in the entire presentation today, which is if you don't think you're in customer service, public relations, marketing, customer support, sales, human resources, then you're my next barista. You need to hustle. You need to move it all the time. So some examples of people who didn't keep the hustle on. Actually, no, I'll save that part for later. Now you've got your hustle on. Now you've got your product. This is the marketing mantra of Hootsuite, BSU, blow shit up. You need to blow shit up because your competitors are going to do it. It's a tiger blood cry for your team to get serious, to stay focused, to believe in what we're doing, to be catalyzed around a mission, to stop wasting time, to focus on what's important every single day. There's tons of things. Oh, we could shoot a documentary about this, or somebody really wants to write a story here, or these analysts you've never heard of want to talk to you about your product. Forget it. There's no point in doing it. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to get you anywhere. You need to blow shit up. Focus on the big things. Go for the big story. Go after it every single day because your competitors are going to try and do the same thing. Now, it sounds kind of aggressive, I know. We're supposed to be sustainable, nice, corporate storytellers, right? Truth tellers. I believe that marketing has become truth. And where I think it's going right now in terms of the way that I'm going to blow shit up is by telling great stories. And I'm going to tell these great stories through visual storytelling because I think less and less people are inclined to read long prose from corporate brands about what their products do. And what they want to know instead is, can I quickly form a meaningful connection with you based on your ability to communicate effectively? Right? And one of the best ways we can do that is by being visual storytellers. And there's a reason this has become a phenomenon. Data visualization, infographics, everybody's got a how-to video. These things are spreading across the internet because they work, because they tell stories, because they take that world of way too much data, way too much information, way too much content, and they make sense of it. This, for example, and this is a fun example, which I thought I'd throw in as a sort of twist in the road. Here, the artist Stephanie Poshevek has interpreted Jack Kerouac's On the Road. Has anybody read On the Road? Okay, Couple people. So you're the people that will actually understand this. Everybody else can admire how awesome it looks. What she's done here is actually quite interesting. She's drilled down by chapter, by paragraph, by idea, by theme, by character, by word, by reputation, and told an entire story of On the Road from a visual perspective, or interpreted it visually. This is a ninja at work, finding meaning and finding definition in long text that you can translate very, very quickly in order to represent an idea. Seems like a lot of work, Ben. Who's going to do all this work? So here, this is, I think, one of the most important things in every business's path to success I've seen. And it's also where I've seen most of the soul-sucking corporations that we heard about earlier today fail miserably. Build a meaningful, strong, powerful ecosystem around you of amazing partners that are going to be able to add value to what you do, and that you in turn are going to ultimately add value. If you can't add value to each other, forget it. Say, hey, wicked to meet you, nice party, thanks for coming out. That's great. What you're trying to find here is people that can take the story further, that need what you do in order to make what they do even better. They're in the same position as you are, and I believe 100% in the ability of an ecosystem in this new business space to find new markets, to find new opportunities, to find new revenue, and to bring new success to the people that can lower their egos long enough and focus hard enough on making a deal that is ultimately going to be meaningful. Way back at the beginning, you started setting yourself, some of your checkpoints were going to be, at some point in all of this, I'm going to be successful. And what I've seen over the past little while is the emergence of what's called the command center for business. Whether it's a social media command center or a finance command center, these massive dashboards that are simplifying and aggregating data from thousands of different sources in order to inform people about how successful they are or about how badly they're failing. And the importance of getting to this measurement phase is everything relies. This is the point at which you're going to declare success, or which you're going to modify one of the most important checkpoints. I don't have the data. I don't have the people I need. We don't have the ability to distribute into the markets where we thought we were going to be able to go. We can't meet the supply that we're going after. Our competitors are killing us on price. We can't get the whatever it is. If you can't see the data behind that, your finger's in the wind and you're praying that you're going to be able to make it to the next checkpoint. And your stakeholders, your shareholders, your employees, your team, day by day, if you can't measure effectively, they're starting to lose faith in you. Then this happens. Every single time, pretty much. If your rim, this is the iPhone. And I think what's most interesting to me about the glitch is that you need to, first of all, embrace the complexity that's going on when this actually takes place. And secondly, you need to embrace the glitch. You need to embrace the workaround that people find in a market. When something happens, changes, shifts, whatever it is, that provides you with new information and definition, you've got seconds, literally, to respond. And I mean metaphorical seconds. What you can't do is ponder if you have the right CEO or not. Or think about, geez, we should really ship that product we were going to ship last year by August of this year. That's not the decision you need to make at this point in time. At this point in time, you need to clear the decks, wipe all the information and ink off every whiteboard in the building, bring in your best brains, your best minds, the people within your ecosystem that are going to die if you don't succeed, and you need to get them together and say, look at glitch. We've got a situation on our hands, and we need to be able to respond to this effectively, quickly. And the only thing that will carry you through this glitch at the end of the day, should you succeed, I believe, is your actual reputation. Because you put your reputation on what got you up to that point. And suddenly something happened or something changed. And while your reputation today, in social media especially, is more fluid or more liquid, it's kind of, morphable and changeable, and I can use search engine optimization kind of tricks to keep an eye on it, and I can, figure out, what my crisis management kind of strategy is. Cool, that's wicked. But more importantly, the people around you are going to look at you and think, did your leadership bring us to the right place, first of all? And now that you have this new information, do you understand it effectively? And do you have to make a decision based on this that is going to lead us forward? If not, please step down, move aside, and find somebody else to do it. That's kind of my take on it. Because right now, this is what I believe to be the first sign of success. The seeds that you planted, the ideas that you've created, everything that has gotten you to where you are in the market today, now something very miraculous is about to take place. Somebody else is going to pick up that seed, and they're going to share it with somebody else. And they're going to believe in you. And they're going to bring this influence from outside. We have a ton of strong ties in terms of sorry, I'm completely distracted now by the fact the red light just went on. Okay, let me think back to where I am. Okay, so I'm going to, 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the 2 minutes. Within our immediate sphere of influence, we are not going to get a lot of new information. What is going to be shared with us in our immediate sphere is information that we're probably already familiar with, things that we already know about. But this seed, this idea of success, is going to come from this broader network, from people where we have weaker ties. And what's going to happen is, in the social space especially, we're going to pull this information into our closed network. And when we share it with other people, it's not going to have that same weak tie. It's going to have the feeling of real influence. When you hear something from a friend, you believe it. And you don't know necessarily whether or not they heard it from another friend or from somebody 1,000 miles away who happens to be following them on Twitter. Okay, race through to the final checkpoint. When I put this image up, what most people think is wicked. That's me enjoying all the success. Other people think, don't even got shoes left. But what I ask you to think is, you should have always had a plan when you got to this point of how you were going to reward all of the people that helped you get there. They need to be rewarded first. They helped you, they believed in you, they carried your vision. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Increments, iterative, little things that you can change and do every day. This is my model for success. Every day we can be awesome a little bit more. And if we're doing something wrong, every day we can suck a little bit less. Take what you need. Thank you.